Nobody wanted to read his father's last letter. For years, an old man sat by the same window, holding a letter he hoped his son would one day read. Every night he added a few more words, not out of anger, but out of love. Then one rainy evening, Michael finally returned home. But he was too late. His father was gone. The house felt empty. Every room held a memory. Every photograph reminded him of the life they once shared. As Michael searched through his father's belongings, he discovered an old wooden box. Inside was a single envelope. It had his name written on it. With trembling hands, he opened the letter. "My dear son." The words instantly took him back to his childhood. He remembered sitting on his father's shoulders, holding his father's hand as they walked down quiet country roads, learning to ride a bicycle while his father ran beside him, refusing to let him fall. He remembered the simple dinners they shared, the warm nights when his father covered him with a blanket before going to bed, and the countless sacrifices his father made without ever asking for anything in return. Then life changed. Michael grew older. He chased success, left home, and slowly stopped coming back. But his father never stopped waiting. Now, sitting alone in the same old house, holding the final letter, Michael finally understood something he had ignored for years. The greatest gift his father ever gave him was never money. It was his love. And for the first time in his life, Michael continued reading, knowing the next words would change him. Michael slowly unfolded the letter. His father's handwriting looked exactly the way he remembered it. Every word carried warmth, even after all these years. "My dear son, if you're reading this, I'm no longer sitting by the old window waiting for you, but don't let sadness fill your heart. I only want you to remember." As he continued reading, memories began to return. He saw himself as a little boy, holding his father's hand on quiet country roads. Back then, the world felt safe because his father was always beside him. He remembered learning to ride his first bicycle. Every time he fell, his father smiled, picked him up, dusted off his clothes, and gently said, "Stand up, son, falling is part of learning." The next memory was even harder to forget. While Michael slept peacefully every night, his father worked late into the night, fixing broken tools and taking extra jobs just to save enough money for his son's future. Every dollar he earned was carefully placed into a small savings jar, not for himself, but for the dreams he hoped his son would one day achieve. Then came the memories that made Michael smile through his tears. The weekends spent fishing together, the long conversations by the lake, the laughter that echoed across the water. Those simple moments had been worth more than any success money could ever buy. But time moved on. Michael grew older. His dreams became bigger and home became smaller. One morning, he packed his suitcase and left to build a new life. His father stood quietly at the front door, smiling with pride, while silently hiding a heart that was breaking. Michael wiped the tears from his face and turned to the next pages of the letter. The handwriting had become slightly shaky, reminding him that his father had written these words in the final years of his life. "My dear son, if you have reached this page, then thank you for giving an old man one last chance to speak to you. There is nothing left in my heart except love." Michael imagined his father sitting alone by the window on a quiet evening, patiently writing every word by the soft light of an old lamp. The letter continued, "Some nights I became tired and had to stop writing. I would look at your childhood photograph, smile, and ask God to protect you wherever you were. That prayer gave me the strength to keep going." Michael lowered his eyes. Every sentence carried the warmth of a father who had never stopped caring. "I placed these pages inside the wooden box because I believed that one day you would come home. Even if I wasn't here to welcome you, my words would still be waiting." Michael gently touched the envelope, realizing his father had prepared this moment long before he passed away. He continued reading. "I have never been angry with you, Michael. Life takes us in different directions. I only hope you never carry guilt in your heart. Instead, carry love. Love lasts much longer than regret. A tear rolled down Michael's cheek. He remembered his father helping neighbors without expecting anything in return, teaching him that kindness was the greatest wealth a person could have. He remembered carrying firewood together, sharing simple meals, laughing over small things that once seemed ordinary but now felt priceless. For the first time in years, Michael smiled through his tears. Those memories had never truly disappeared. They had simply been waiting for this letter to bring them back to life. As the evening sunlight filled the old farmhouse, Michael placed one hand over his heart and whispered softly, "Thank you, Dad, for loving me even when I was far away." He carefully folded the letter for a moment, knowing that the final pages still remained, and somehow he already felt like a different man than the one who had opened the envelope that morning. With a slow, steady breath, Michael reached for the final pages of the letter. The paper felt fragile in his hands, yet every word carried a strength that time could never erase. "My dear son, if you are reading these last pages, then my greatest wish has already come true. You came home, not just to this old house, but to the memories we once shared." A tear slipped down Michael's cheek as he continued reading. "Please don't let regret become the heaviest thing you carry. We cannot change yesterday, but we can always choose how we live tomorrow." Michael placed one hand over his heart. For the first time in years, he understood that forgiveness begins with forgiving yourself. The letter continued, "If you ever become a father, love your children with patience, listen to them, walk beside them. One day they will remember your kindness far longer than your words." Michael smiled through his tears. He remembered every lesson his father had quietly taught him, not through speeches, but through simple acts of love, sacrifice, and honesty. He looked at the old family photograph on the table. It no longer filled him with unbearable sadness. Instead, it reminded him that true love never disappears. It simply waits to be remembered. Michael slowly walked toward the window and looked across the peaceful countryside. The same fields, the same old tree, the same gentle breeze. Everything seemed to whisper the same message. Home has always been waiting for you. He carefully folded the letter, placed it back inside the envelope, and held it close to his chest. At that moment, he made a silent promise. He would live the rest of his life with kindness. He would never again be too busy for the people he loved. And inside the farmhouse, everything was still. Yet Michael no longer felt alone because he finally understood something that he had forgotten for many years. A loving parent may leave this world, but their love never does. And with that truth in his heart, Michael smiled. The letter was finished. The journey was complete. But the love between a father and his son would live forever. Michael slowly walked outside the farmhouse. The evening air was calm, and the golden sunlight covered the old fields in warmth. He walked toward the large tree that stood beside the house, the same tree that his father had planted many years ago. Michael reached out and placed his hand on the old trunk. The rough bark reminded him of all the years that had passed. He looked at the small wooden sign attached to the tree. It was a reminder of a promise, a memory, and a love that time could never erase. For a moment, Michael closed his eyes. He remembered being a little boy, standing beside his father under this very tree. His father had always told him that strong roots create strong lives. At that time, Michael didn't fully understand those words. But now, after all these years, he finally did. Nearby, the old swing moved gently with the breeze. The swing was empty, but Michael could almost hear the laughter of his younger days. He could almost see his father pushing him gently and telling him to always believe in himself. Those moments were gone. They were never forgotten. Michael turned around and looked at the farmhouse. The place that once felt filled with sadness now felt filled with love. Every room had a memory. Every corner had a story. Every wall carried the voice of the man who had loved him more than anything. Michael knew that he could never bring back the years they had lost, but he could carry the lessons his father had left behind. Kindness, patience, forgiveness, and unconditional love. He looked across the peaceful fields and felt a quiet happiness inside his heart. In his imagination, he saw his father standing beside him again. The old man smiled proudly. No words were needed. Their hearts already understood everything. Michael gently placed his hand on his father's shoulder in his memory, a father and a son, standing together beneath the same old tree, a bond that distance could not break, a love that even time could not take away. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the fields, Michael looked back at the farmhouse one last time. The old tree stood tall. The swing moved softly in the wind, and the home remained exactly where his father had left it. Michael whispered, "Thank you, Dad. I will carry your love with me forever." That night, the farmhouse was no longer a place of memories filled with pain. It became a place of peace, because Michael finally understood. People we love may leave our sight, but they never leave our hearts. The story of a father and son had reached its final page. The love written between them would continue forever